Alrighty, I think we are live. Good morning, everyone. As Bob Hale from the Houston Association of Realtors mentioned earlier this morning, we are living through some crazy times. 2020 has pushed all of us in new ways. In March, we were all scrounging around for toilet paper and learning how to work from home. And by April, we had all mastered our loungewear looks. And in May, we realized our lives were not going back to normal. So this means as realtors, you are really putting yourself into your buyer's shoes and trying to pivot to learn their new lifestyles. So when Colette and I sat down to discuss this year's annual symposium, we knew we wanted to provide a lineup of innovative and creative speakers that were really pushing the boundaries. For our keynote speaker, we knew we wanted someone who was going to inspire and evoke excitement about these changing times, because inevitably this change is what's going to propel and move our industry forward even faster than we could have imagined. And we really want our members here at HHI MLS to be at the forefront of that curve. To put it into perspective, there are 1,396,575 realtors in the United States. So what does it take to be one of the top 10? Today, it's my honor to introduce you all to our 2020 keynote speaker, Santiago Arana. Out of 1.3 million agents, he is currently ranked the #7 agent in the US. He is also a principal of The Agency, a luxury brokerage in LA that has broken barriers, selling the luxury lifestyle to its clients there in LA and beyond. He has now closed over $3 billion in real estate and has worked with celebrities such as LeBron James, Anthony Hopkins, billionaires like Tom Barrack from Colony Capital, Jeffrey Gundlach, the United Talent Agency founders Jim Burks, and Peter Benedict. He's also even worked with Lady Gaga. We've invited him here to share his personal story of immigrating from Bolivia to the US without English skills and with $120 in his pockets, and working as a busboy to eventually becoming the #6 agent just last year in 2019. Coming from nothing, he certainly learned some things on his journey, and I hope you all gained something from hearing his story today. Welcome, Santiago. We're so glad you're here.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me here. I feel honored to be with you guys in this moment, although we are doing it Zoom, and normally I do these talks in person. It's just amazing to be able to be talking to so many people and sharing my story because one of the things that I like to do is, in my way to give back, is like share my experiences and the things that have worked for me. And hopefully out of all of you there in Florida or from wherever you're watching this can, capture one or two things that it will help you in your personal business and your personal lives. So thanks again for the beautiful introduction. I'm honored to be here. I'm here in Los Angeles right now. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. Little cloudy. I live close to the beach, so it's a little overcast, but grateful to be alive, to be healthy, and to be having the opportunity to enjoy life another day. So to start this, I'd like to just mention too that I'm gonna share a little bit of my story of where I come from, just with the main point to bring to your awareness that everything is possible, and each of you have the ability to do exactly or more than what I did. I'm originally from Bolivia, in South America. I studied business administration and marketing. I graduated from a private university in 2002, which point the situation of that country was very unstable. And I thought it would be smart to, get out of the country and continue studying and, getting a stronger curriculum and resume for myself. So I spoke with my family and, I applied for a scholarship in a master's degree in finance that was only taught in English. And I wanted to do it. So unfortunately, I didn't speak a word of English at the time. This is 2002. I was 22 years old. And I decided that in order to learn English faster, I should come to the United States. My mom had a cousin that connected with, and she said that it was okay for me to come and spend 8 months on her couch. So I took the offer. I grabbed my bag. I grabbed $120, which was my savings at the moment for a 22-year-old, and I decided to fly to America. I believe that, when you want to learn something, as Tony Robbins says, and I'm a big fan of him, it's better to do it by immersion. Like if I would have stayed in Bolivia and I would have gone just to classes and got out and speak Spanish with my friends, I don't think I would have learned it as fast. And I only had, a year to learn the language, and to learn it at a level that I was going to go and study a master degree in finance. So I moved to the United States in 2003 in May, and I study English at night, free school, ESL, English as a second language. And very quickly I ran out of my money. So I had to get a job, and unfortunately I didn't speak the language. So I was limited on where I would be able to get a job. So I got my first job was as a busboy. I was here in California in Montecito, at a Spanish tapas Mexican gourmet kind of restaurant. I got my first job in there. So I was bussing tables during the day. And at night, I was going to study English. So within 3 or 4 months, I was able to communicate and picked up the language. And at that point, I always was, looking for more. I went to the manager. I said, I would like to have the opportunity to wait tables as opposed to just bus tables. Because I like to talk to people and I wanted to practice my English. And I thought that would be better for the restaurant also because I could sell more stuff, At that point, I didn't really see myself as a salesperson. I understood sales because I studied business administration, but it was not necessarily something that I thought back in the day that it was something that I want to dedicate only to sales, which my life has turned into now. So once I learned the language and I was waiting tables, I started to really like living here. And I really started seeing things that I didn't see. And I'm being in Montecito, for those that for you guys that you don't know, is a very affluent community in Santa Barbara, very wealthy. So I was seeing things that I never got exposed to, like seeing people, families come into the restaurant, spend X amounts of money, driving beautiful cars, beautiful houses, and you just kind of that lifestyle that I never was exposed to. So that awakened an ambition and an excitement inside me that started to get me thinking, what would I have to do to stay here? Alternatively to that, I while what was happening, I met my wife, which was the biggest reason why the reason why I stay here. We met, she came to eat at a restaurant, and we met. And I'm not going to go in detail on that because I know that you are more interested in hearing what about how do you became the number 6 or number 7 in the United States. But at that point, we fell in love and I decided to stay here. We got married. I moved to Los Angeles where she was living. And once I moved to Los Angeles and I made my mind to stay and live in the United States, I definitely needed to do something else that wasn't waiting tables. Not because it was a bad thing or anything. It's just not what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So at that point, I remember my cousin was doing loans in 2003, 2004. The loan business was exploding. So he will sit a few hours, make some decent money, and then go surfing all day. So I came to him like, what do? I want to do that. So he explained to me, he said, you can get your license. And here in California, you get your license it's the same license that you get for real. You speak 2 languages now. And I see the way how you are, you will do a lot better talking to people than sitting on a desk. And I said, what's real estate? Which is funny because the translation for real estate in Spanish is bienes raíces. And I remember growing up, like that was never something that I strive for. I didn't grow up even thinking about that was an option to be a bienes raíces agent or a real estate agent. But it got my attention. And when I moved to Los Angeles, I continued to work in restaurants and because I needed the money to survive. And until one point, I decided to, okay, well, I'm gonna go and look for a job. I went to college, so I'm gonna translate in the equivalent of what English is, and it was business administration. So I started dropping resumes in different companies, and I started looking for different jobs. And a lot of them were salespersons, they were insurance companies, they were sales companies, and the jobs they were offering to a 24-year-old starting. I was making more money basically waiting tables. I was making cash, and working in very, very good restaurants in Los Angeles. You can make actually a pretty decent money. So, but on the other hand, I was like, yeah, but that's going to be like that always. I need to figure a way how to create a career. So I start to look at, okay, if I work in this insurance company, or if I work in this sales company, or in this marketing company, I'm going to start here, and where I'm going to be in 10 years, where I'm going to be in 15 years. If I work really good and I work my way up, what is the top I'm going to be in these companies? And a lot of them were, okay, if you work as an executive here and you pay your dues and you work for 10, 15 years, you're going to get to be a top executive, and a top tier executive in that company makes X amount of money. Call it, at the moment when I was looking, and this is, we're talking about 2004, $350,000, $400,000 a year. So, okay, that's a good living. And then out of curiosity, I was like, okay, what about real estate? Who are the biggest real estate agents in LA? And I started doing research, and I found a few individuals, and I was like, how much money these guys make? And when I looked at that, I was like, whoa, you realize that, in this career, the sky is the limit. And you can make as much money as you want to make and as much you want to work. So when I saw the differential on that, and I saw what was possible, and I started to understand a little bit more about real estate, here in Los Angeles specifically, it really, really got me interested. So immediately when I got my license, and I went to work with Keller Williams, I remember, because they had a good training program in Beverly Hills. I was there for a year. After that, I met my first mentor, who was a very big agent at the time in a company on Sotheby's. And, I was very frustrated. I was very frustrated in the sense that I was door knocking, I was sending letters, I was cold calling, I was doing everything that, the books or the training for new real estate agents tells you. But there was not nothing happening. And the point I want to make here, the reason why nothing was happening is because, number one, I had a bad attitude. And at the time I was, blaming it to not being from here. I don't speak good English. I have a thick accent. I still do. Um, but the funny thing is that now people tell me that I fake my accent to be successful. So that's how kind of things go. In the beginning it's a negative, and now out of setting it's like, well, that's why you get a lot of listings. But anyway, so when I'm looking at these things, and I say, okay, why is it not working out? I mean, like, I was very frustrated, and I was blaming it on, like, of course, I don't have any relatives. I don't have any friends. I don't have any college roommates, any high school friends. I don't know anyone other than my wife and maybe a couple other people. Who am I going to sell houses to? Or who is going to give me a house? And I was door knocking, and I was doing it in the wrong way. I was doing it with a bad attitude. I was like, oh, I hate doing this. I was going 2 hours door knocking, and it was just not working out. So at that point, I kind of sat down, and I got introduced to a couple of books. One of them, I teach a class every year. I just finished. You guys want to watch it? I do a course every day, every year, of the book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I have it in my YouTube channel, which is Santiago Arana Official, or you can go in my Instagram to Santiago Arana with a blue check mark. And that's a book that really changed my life, because it taught me structure and taught me that in order to achieve things, you first need to achieve them in your mind, and then how powerful the mind is. And we're going to go in a little bit of detail of that, because that's a big part of my success. So I kind of put out there to the universe saying, it has to be someone that has come to the United States in a similar situation, not knowing anyone, and has made it happen. And I just kind of said that, and I put it out there. And out of the sudden, one day I was just working at Keller Williams, and I met this guy that used to work at Coldwell Banker, a young agent too. We were introduced by our mortgage broker, and he's like, oh, you guys should meet each other. So we met, and we're talking, and I'm telling him these things, and he's like, oh, you should meet this guy named Rodrigo Iglesias. He's a very successful agent, and he's from Argentina. He came here, and it was exactly like what I was looking for. And I was like, whoa, this is kind of weird. So I went back to my office really quick, and I started Googling the guy, and I'm like, oh, wow, this guy is a very successful agent at the time. So I reached out to him. And one of the things that I learned in life is that you cannot give up. I called the guy for about 3.5 months, and he had multiple assistants, and I couldn't get a hold of him. Left multiple messages because I wanted to meet with him. But now, in the position where I am, I see what that is like, right? I get a lot of emails and a lot of calls, and I try to respond as much as I can, but sometimes, it's a lot. So you can meet with everybody. You can have coffees with everybody. And that's one of the reasons why I started to do these courses online and in certain centers in here with where I can gather a lot of people and I can talk to all of them at the same time, because there's so many hours in the day now that I need to dedicate to my clients, and meeting and having coffee with multiple people, unfortunately, is impossible. So once I got to meet with him, he called one day and he said, you wanted to meet? And Mr. Iglesias, the assistant, called me, and I was driving literally to a restaurant about to get into my night shift. And I called in sick. I'm like, yes, I'm meeting him. I turned around, I went to meet with him, and I went and I waited for an hour and a half in the restaurant. He told me, and he never showed up. You can imagine how frustrated I was. I lied to my job. Now I'm here sitting. This guy is not showing up. And this is just, I'm telling you all this because it shows persistence. Persistence is very important. And when you put yourself out there and you do everything you can, you have to be patient because the universe, God's going to be able to deliver to you in the way he knows is best, not you, right? So I'm leaving, and he calls and he apologized profusely. He's like, Santiago, I'm so sorry. To be honest, I forgot. And I want to make it up to you. How about I invite you to lunch tomorrow at the same place? So long story short, we met. And when I met with him, I said, look, I don't want to be your assistant. I don't need a job or anything. I just want advice. And this is where I am. This is what I'm doing, and blah, blah, blah. And I start telling him everything. This is not working. I'm door knocking is not working. I'm cold calling is not working. I'm doing this is not working. And he got up and he's like, wait a second. Goes and gets a book from his office, gives it to me and says, read this book. And when you're done reading this book, call me. We'll meet one more time. Explain to me what you got out of the book, and we'll talk about it. The book was called The Science of Getting Rich, which is a book that I was reading in the late 1800s or early 1900s, same age as Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And the book, in essence, tells and talks about it's not what you do, it's how you do it, right? And one of the things that he told me that I need to do is an adjustment on my attitude and an adjustment on my way of thinking and how I was doing things, because the way how the world was perceiving me and the way how people, when I was door knocking in their houses, was like, oh my God, look at these guys, negative, sad, frustrated, all those things that you exude that kind of energy. So once I understood the concept and I started applying these concepts of these books, like magic, immediately, like someone will open the door and wanted to talk to me, invite me to come in the houses and do all these things. So that's how my career started. I worked with him for a couple of years. We ended up becoming partners, and then in the future we decided to go in our own way. But the message on that is I needed a change in my attitude, and I think that especially now, the way how the world is and everything, one of the things I did, another course that I just also have recorded on my YouTube channel, was how to navigate through hard times, through the storm. When COVID hit in March, I decided that I wanted to talk about, like, stop focusing on the things that we don't control, and let's start focusing on the things that we can control, right? So how do you get to be, for the last, I've been blessed that for the last 10 years, consecutive years, I've been named the top 250 real estate agents of the country. And in the last 3 or 4 years, I think I've been in the top 10. And how do you get there? And to me, there's only one thing, right? Is how the 1% thinks. What's the mindset of the 1%? And one of the things I like about the book, Think and Grow Rich, is that explains to how this guy Napoleon Hill dedicated his life to study people, successful people like Thomas Edison, Henry Ford. I mean, you name it, right? And there was a lot of things that these people had in common. And one of the most things they have in common is that they believe that thoughts are things, and you can create your own reality and your future. Now, you can go really far into that, or we're going to keep it very simple here and applying it to what real estate is. How is that the 1% of the agents sell 80% of the real estate out there? Why is it that, how do they think, what do they do, what is it, right? And to me is a series of things, and it's discipline, and it's faith, and it's working very hard. I mean, I'm gonna lie to you, I work really hard, and it pays off, right? So one of the things that you need to do, and I'm going to go through a few steps over here, is to motivate yourself to do the things that are going to get you to be successful in real estate. So what it helped me is to understand that this is a numbers game, right? If you door knock every week 200 doors, something's going to happen for sure, no doubt about it. I chose to do the door knocking because I was better at getting in a door, talking to someone, than getting in the phone and calling, because again, I had a very thick accent and people will he would hang up with me immediately. But when I was in a door, I would like just be friendly and smile and talk to someone, and I would do better. So that was what I chose to do. I'm not telling you the door knocking is the way to go. You know, there's several different things that you can do: send letters, calling, your sphere of influence, which I didn't have at the time, so I had to create one. Another one that was big for me that unfortunately right now we cannot do, at least here in California, is sitting open houses. Sitting open houses was great because now I'm sitting in a house where people are coming and I'm meeting multiple people in a period of time of 3 hours. And we're meeting people that they are interested in buying houses. So I don't need to like go to a bar and talk to someone that is not interested in buying houses and I start scanning through people until I find the person that is interested in somehow buying or selling real estate. When they're coming to the open houses, it's either they're looking for a house, or it's a neighbor that at some point is going to want to sell a house, or it's a seller that was curious about how that house compares to his house that he's thinking of putting on the market. So you literally are in that spot where you have the opportunity to create business out of those open houses. So how do you motivate yourself to do things, right? Because one of the things that I love about this career is that you are your own boss, right? You are going to work as many hours as you want to work, or you're going to, you know, make the phone calls or not make the phone calls. No one's going to make you do it. Nobody's going to, unless you have a real estate coach or someone that you're accountable to. The reality is that you are your own boss, which is great, right? Nobody tells me what to do. But at the same time, one of the things that it really helps me, and I tell always agents now that work at my company, is think about this. If you were the CEO of your company, would you hire yourself or would you fire yourself? And you got to be honest, and you got to look into it deep and say, I think I could have made 10 more calls yesterday. I think I could have done that. Or perhaps I'm doing great. I'm good. In which way I can improve? So how do you motivate yourself? Again, it's 8. Well, now it's not, but we connected at 8 o'clock. For me, one of the most important things is being in alignment with yourself. Eat healthy, exercise, and dedicate time to yourself to be able to be better and expose yourself to the world in a better way. So I personally, wake up at 5 in the morning and I meditate, and I choose to do that. I'm not telling you that that's what's going to get you successful in real estate. You can do whatever you want. But for me, waking up and having an alone time for myself and dedicating that time just for me. I don't look at my phone until I'm back from the gym at 7:30, 8 o'clock. So I made a point that I won't look at my phone. I won't look at emails. I won't look at computers. I won't look at anything, because that will distract me. If you roll from your bed into this and you happen to open a message or an email that is a client telling you they wants to cancel an escrow, your whole day gets set up in that moment and you're ruined. Okay. It might be a good message, but I don't gamble it. So I wake up, my phone's away. I actually sleep with my phone in airplane mode, so it doesn't bother or anything. And then I go into meditation, and I do meditation. I do visualization, and dedicate that time to just think about what are the things that are important to me. And no one is awake, so I don't get distracted by my kids. I don't get distracted by what's happening, noise, or anything. That's why early in the morning is super important to me. Not to mention that there is scientifically proven that early in the morning, your brain and your subconscious mind is in a place where you can really focus on what you want and think about and organize yourself, and you can really receive messages or open your mind in a way that you will start seeing things a little different. After that, I get up and I go to the gym, which is what I did today. I work out, and then I happen to be blessed enough to live very close to the ocean. So from the gym, I go on and jump in the cold water, because here the Pacific Ocean is a little bit colder than where you guys are. So, but that to me gets me in a place where when I meet someone, so when I do all those things and I come back home and I have breakfast with my family, and I'm ready to go to conquer the world. That energy that when I go and meet a person, I mean, if I tell you how many times I walked into a listing appointment where these people or this family have met 4, 5, 6 other agents, and they can help to tell me, they're like, whoa, I don't know what it is, but we like you. You're great. I mean, like, your energy is good. We feel comfortable with you. I mean, it sounds a little funny, but it happens all the time to me. Like people are just kind of attracted to that kind of energy because you are centered, you're good with yourself, you feel good, you feel healthy, you feel, you're good. So if you go and start meeting people that way, you'll have to door knock less doors, you'll have to see less open houses, and you have to meet less people, because going back to it's a numbers game. The more doors that you do, something's going to come. When you're presenting yourself in a way that are pleasant, with good energy, positive, happy, in a good way, people pick up on that. People pick up on that energy, and they feel attracted to wanting to do business with you. So again, if you don't like what you're hearing, don't pay attention to me. But if you can grab just one thing, I think out of this 45 minutes or how long, whatever we're going to talk, if you can grab one little thing to make a difference, and I always say to people, like, I go to multiple, I mean, I believe in always improving myself. So I've been to multiple Tony Robbins events, different courses, and I read a lot of books, and I do a lot of that stuff. And it's not about going and learning the whole course 100% and being a master on it. If you can rescue one thing out of each course, out of each seminar that you do, that's enough. Because like in golf, right? And for those that golf will understand this, when you hit the ball, if you just change a little bit the angle, I'm talking about millimeters in the distance, it makes a huge difference. So that's really what you need to think. Little adjustments, little learning experiences will make a big difference in the future. So how do you motivate yourself? So I just share with you how I do it. You motivate yourself by exercise, eating healthy. Exercise is an incredible way to motivate yourself because it helps you release endorphins. And endorphins get you in a place where you're happier, you're positive, you see the world in a different way. Uh, there's different hormones that your brain release. You have the endorphins, oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, and there is natural ways on how to release those hormones, and obviously there are fake ways or with drugs on how to release that, right? If you want to do the natural way, will be the one I recommend, by the way. So by exercising, you need to also, if you want to take notes, set goals. Goals are so important, right? If you don't have a goal, and I'm talking about all kinds of goals, short-term goals, yearly goals, 10-year goals, personal goals, fitness goals, uh, any kind of goals that you want to put in your life. Because when you have a goal, now you have a direction on where to go, right? How would it be if you get into an Uber and tell him, take me somewhere? It'll take a very long time and take you in a place called nowhere, and it'll be a very expensive ride. That's kind of like the same way how I look at life. If you don't know where you're going, if you don't have a direction and you don't have a goal, you just kind of go and walk around and do things not knowing where you're going. So setting goals are very important. I have daily goals, I have weekly goals, I have monthly goals, I have yearly goals, and I have a long-term goal, which is when I turn 50, where I'm going to be, who I'm going to be with. And that's when I apply my visualization, which I do at night before I go to bed. So before I go to bed, when everybody's gone sleep, I set also another 20, 30 minutes alone time where I visualize where I will be when I'm turning 50 and who I will be with, who I will be sitting with, what I will be eating. And I do it in such a detail because your mind, when you enter into this visualization, doesn't really know the difference whether you are there or not. And what it does is automatically starts introducing you to the right people, to the right events, to the right opportunities where people will like come to you and present opportunities. You'll meet a client, you'll meet the person that will eventually get you there because you have a direction. So super important, set your goals. We're getting towards the end of the year, which is an important time to set your goals. Don't wait until January 1st to set your goals. That'll be too late. You need to set your goals for 2021 now. So then when 2021 hits, you know exactly what to do. And by the way, in the profession that we are, all the properties that you're going to sell in December and some of them that you're going to sell in November, depending on how long those escrows are and those contracts are, you're going to close them in January. So that's going to be part of your 2021 goal. That's not going to count in your 2020. So now it's kind of the time where like it's in the verge. A lot of things that we're selling right now are going to account for this year, but a lot of them are going to pass to the next year. So now is the time where I would like highly recommend go on, set your goals. And then you need to have a business plan. You need to have a plan of action. So you got your goals, you set up a business plan. I mean, there's so many easy ways to set up business plans now. You don't need to be a an expert on it. You just Google how to set up a business plan, and they're going to find tons of different kinds. Find one that you like, that is simple, keep it simple, and set up your business plan on like, next year, I want to sell X amount of millions or whatever it is. I don't work in your market share, so I don't know what numbers make sense. My goal for this year was to sell 500 million, and I'm at 380, and I'm getting there. I might not make it, but it's okay. It's okay. Sometimes you don't achieve your goals, you need to pass into the next year. So next year will be 500 again. And once I get to 500, I'll think about what's going to be the next one. But set your goals, see where you want to be, and then have a plan of action, which is your business plan. How many calls a week? How many things you're going to do? How many lunches? How many doors you're going to knock, or whatever it is that you do in your business. And then you need to schedule it, because it doesn't become real until you schedule it. So find a great schedule tool like Outlook schedule. I use the Outlook calendar. There is so many things now with technology that you can set up beautiful schedules and reminders and everything. But if you don't schedule everything that you do, and when I say everything, I mean I schedule everything on my calendar. I mean, I schedule getting a haircut, I schedule meeting clients, I schedule lunches, I schedule showing houses. Everything is in there. So now I have a direction, and it's there, and it's real, and it's happening. Because if you said, I'm going to call this client, I'm going to take him to lunch one day, I'm going to do that, it doesn't become real until you actually call, set it up, and make it happen. Okay. So just to recap a little bit, how you get motivated: you exercise, set goals, then you put your business plan of action, and then you schedule everything to have a structure on how to go about it. Because again, you don't have a boss. You don't have to check a card, and nobody's going to put in your desk the things that you need to do. So you need to create your own schedule, and you need to get yourself busy. And for those that you're starting in the beginning, just get busy doing stuff. It's like you don't need to have 10 showings a day to say I'm busy, because maybe you don't have 10 showings or 10 houses or 10 clients to show houses. But get yourself busy on making the calls, doing this, doing that. Because by having things to do and by being busy, subconsciously, you're going to feel better. You're going to feel like, wow, I'm doing a lot. And that's going to get you to the next level. Okay. Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay. So there's a little quote in here that I wrote down that I want to read to you. Says, good things will happen to people that wait for them, but they will be the leftovers of the people who hassle. Abraham Lincoln said that. So true, right? Let me see. I want to cover a couple other things, and then we're gonna, it's 8:33, so then maybe in about 10 minutes we can open up to questions, or to have as much time as we can. I can answer questions that you might have. One of the concepts that I learned reading all these books that I just mentioned to you, the Think and Grow Rich, the same. I mean, and it sounds a little bit like, oh, this guy, all he cares about getting rich. Yeah, but those are the names of the book. You can apply those concepts of those books to whatever you want, not just making money. Although, the world's turning into a place where you can develop 100% of your potential unless you have some sort of, wealth. Because if you want to develop being an artist, you need to be exposed to things like that. If anything that you want to do, you need some, sort of wealth now to develop yourself better and to enjoy better and to get all those things. But I don't want to come across as the all I care is about money. For those that know me and they're close to me, they know that's not one of my motivations. That's not something that's not what I do it. That's not what I strive for. It's good and it's comfortable to have a good life, but that's not what it's about. And I'm just suggesting these two books because these are like manuals. They work for me. There's tons of different books. I mean, I can give you names of a lot of books, and a lot of them I always post in my Instagram of what are books that I'm reading right now. And you can see there's tons of them. Okay, so one of the most important things is to start now. Once you're done with this, or you're done with your seminar and you go tonight to the house, do your business plan now. There's no reason why to leave it to January 1st, like I tell you. There's no reason to leave it to Monday. Oh, Monday I'm gonna start. Oh, no, now. It's gotta be now. The moment that you take that action of doing and making it happen now, like magic, is going to activate something inside you because you're making that decision, a real decision. When you make a real decision, it's going to change everything. Okay. So that decision is to let you fuel you, and a lot of times, you come across, and unfortunately we live, unfortunately because we couldn't live without it, but we live in societies, we live in cultures, we have groups of friends, and we have people that around us, they say, oh yeah, that's not going to be possible, that sounds good, but how are you going to do this and that and that? Don't let someone's opinion become your reality. Don't. You need to be rock solid on your thinking, and you need to focus on what you're going to do and believe in what you're going to do. And no matter what they say, you just say, okay, great, that's your opinion, I appreciate it, thank you, and then just continue doing what you do. Let me see here, I have a couple more things I want to check with you, and then we can wrap it up. One of the things that is actually really, really, really helpful, and once I understood this, is understand how the subconscious mind works. Okay, so the way I look at it, and the way how I got to understand and to learn through reading a lot of books, going to a lot of courses, is how does the conscious mind and how the subconscious mind work, and how is this going to help you? You know, first of all, it's important to understand that the conscious mind controls the subconscious mind. So the way I like to kind of frame it is, imagine that the conscious mind, you right now, while you're listening on everything, is the farmer, right? And the subconscious mind is the field, the gigantic field that this farmer is going to take care of, right? So your subconscious mind is always working, whether you know it or not. You're awake, you're sleeping. And that's why it's important for me, and I will urge you to do it before you go to bed. Instead of be watching a movie, a horror movie, or whatever it is, why don't you take 30 minutes before you go to bed, turn off all electronics, and close your eyes and start thinking the things that you want, not the things that you don't have or the things that you don't want. uh, it will change the way how you go to bed. And when you go to sleep and your conscious mind falls asleep and your subconscious mind is working, the last few impressions that you have in your brain through your senses, through your eyes, ears, and everything, are going to make a huge impact on the way how you feel the next day and the things that are going to happen to you. So if your conscious mind is the farmer and the subconscious mind is this gigantic field that is always working, well, let's think about what kind of seeds you would like to put in that field, right? Positive seeds, goals, anything that you put in there is going to grow, and it's going to be the farmer's work to get him to grow and to take care of him and to water them and to get him to a place where you want to be, and all that. But that's not something that you say, oh yes, that's what I'm going to do and it's going to happen right away. No, like any seed takes time, and you need to be patient, and you need patient, and you need to have faith that you're working hard. So your job is set your goals, you put the right thoughts, you do the right work, and before you go to bed, said, today I did truly 100% of what I'm capable of doing. I did put everything out there. I ran out of hours, but I'm okay because I did everything that I was capable of doing. And now I feel good about it. And now I'm going to focus on my future goals, and I'm going to go to bed. And then you start planting that, and you need to be consistent. Consistency and discipline are two of the most important things when you do this. And in the real estate business, having the discipline is huge, because again, no one's going to tell you, call this person, do this. You need to be accountable to yourself and be true to yourself on making those things, and have the discipline to do it, to get up and do it, to get up and do it, and get up and do it again. And when it failed, you get up again and do it again. And when you lose a listing, you get up and do it again. And when you didn't get that sale, go to the next one and move on. Don't stand and dwell upon what didn't work for too long. You have to have the ability to shake it off and keep moving in this business, okay? So the subconscious mind is objective. It does not distinguish from positive or negative. It just takes it. So the subconscious mind doesn't know. So if you're putting negative thoughts, it's taking it and it's growing them, and it's going to send back to you more of that. If you put in positive thoughts and you put in goals and good things, it's grabbing that and it's going to give you more of that. So that's how I learned how the brain works, how the conscious and subconscious mind works. And what I did is a combination of that. If you start reading books like that and you start combining and believing that it actually works, and then you put the work, you go, you make your calls, you schedule, you have your goals, and you work really hard, I can tell you, I don't have really any super secrets. I do a lot of these seminars here in Los Angeles at the Skirball Center or in different places, and I meet 200, 300, 400 realtors, I always towards the end when I open up the questions, I get someone to raise their hand. And if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see some of those. I'm not just making it up. And there's always someone that says, that was great. Thank you so much for coming and helping us, and love to hear you, whatever. But why don't you just tell us the secret? What's the secret? What is that you did that got you to sell so many houses? And the one thing I told one guy one time is like, look, I just told you the secret. I told you everything that I know. I told you, I'm sharing with you what has worked for me. But I'll tell you what the secret really, what it makes a big difference. And it's not really the secret, but what makes a big difference is the execution, right? The discipline to execute. Because I can guarantee you right now, there's 250 of you, and you all are fired up that we meet again in 6 months, and I get to all of you raise your hand who's actually been doing it in the way that you should be doing it, and who is honest with themselves that they've given 100% of themselves, and who are those that they want to hire themselves as CEOs of their own business. If I have 5 hands up, it will be a lot, because most of them drop the ball. And it's that execution. They work for a week, for a month, and they don't get the results they want, and they drop the ball. You can't be that impatient. You need to work hard. So I hope this was helpful for you all. I tried to compress the information as much as I could without making it boring. And now let's open up to questions.
Awesome, Santiago. Thank you. So I've got a question here from Gloria Gonzalez, one of our members. And she says, you mentioned when you moved, you didn't really have anyone other than your wife so you had no sphere of influence. How important was it to gain this in your work? And maybe if you can touch on any kind of tech tools that you used for that. And she also says, tremenda inspiración para todos los hispanos en esta profesión.
Gracias. Yes, so what are the tools, technological tools that she's asking for me to get to that point? I didn't know anyone. I mean, honestly, it was very, very go down to the basics. I mean, it was door knocking. So I will continue. By the way, I work in the restaurant from the moment I got my real estate license for 4 years still. I didn't really make a living in real estate where I could drop the restaurant for the first 4 years. So I supplemented real estate in the day, and then I worked night shifts in the restaurant to be able to pay my rent and live, right? So, but what I used to do is, before I went to the restaurant, I will fill up my schedule with, I'm gonna door knock 2 hours today in this location on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm gonna door knock in this other location. I'm gonna make this amount of open houses. I'm gonna sit open houses Saturdays and Sundays. And I didn't even have my own listings. I will go to the big agents in my company and say, hey, I know you have too many listings. You cannot be sitting all of them, and then you introduce yourself, and they see that you're capable, right? I'm a professional. I understand the market. I know the area. I know the comps. Let me see your open house. Whatever setup you have, if I generate a buyer or a seller, whatever you tell me that is good, I'm good with it. And then I will see these open houses, somebody else's open houses, and I will meet people through there, and I will start growing my business that way. Those were the 2 things that helped me a lot: door knocking and open houses.
Wonderful. So I had a question for you. So I know you speak a lot in other times, not so much on this call, but about visualization. So I was just curious if, because of COVID, you've allowed the fear of COVID to impact your visualization that you do every single day. Have you let that come into your sphere at all?
Yeah. The big answer is no, I did not. But I'm a human, right? So a few things that you need to know about me that you haven't heard yet. I don't watch TV, the news. And I only watch, when I watch TV, I watch either a sports event that I like, which are very few, or I buy a movie or a documentary on Netflix or Apple TV. I don't have cable. Like I don't believe in watching the news. I don't like to be bombarded and inundated with news that I don't even believe that they're telling me the truth. So when my older son, which is 13 now, was born, my wife and I made the decision to not to watch the news anymore because there's just too much negativity. So, but you go out in the street, you talk to people, friends are bummed out. You have to kind of like realize that we're living in a tough reality right now and tough times. So sometimes it does affect me. But visualization is actually a way to escape from that, because that's you know, you can visualize whatever you want. You can visualize your perfect world. You can visualize whatever you want to be eating, whatever you want to be eating, being with whoever you want to be eating, and feeling the way you want to be feeling. Because the trick is, if you can actually trick your mind and start feeling those feelings without having them, they're going to manifest no matter what. It's proven that it will happen. So that's why when COVID started and everybody was so scared and bummed out, including myself, I said, I need to do something and I need to speak what I think. So I have in my YouTube channel, it's called How to Navigate Through the Storm. And it's a, I think, 8-week course where, you know, how about this? How about we don't have control on the economy. We don't have control on the virus. We don't have control on what's going to happen in politics. We don't have control of the stock market, any of that. So why you worry about so much about that? How about let's focus on things that we can control? How about, okay, you cannot go to work because, you know, we cannot be in places or whatever. How about wake up and go and exercise? How about wake up and set up a course? You know, I did a couple courses during COVID. I did one, the Tony Robbins course and something else. So why don't you start occupying yourself with things you can control that make you feel better, as opposed to sitting down and being so sorry about what's going on around the world? That won't help you.
Yeah, definitely getting rid of that victim mentality a little bit there. So another question we had come through is from Stasha, and she asked, how has your business changed as more people start their buying process online, for example, online leads, and what are your best practices for those online leads? How do you kind of handle those clients?
You know, I gotta say that my business has not been affected at all by that. I know that there are certain states and certain places where people are buying online. On the markets that I operate and the markets where I work, people do want the agent. They want that relationship. They want to be, you know, they want them to hold their hands and walk into the process. So thankfully, I have not been affected by that yet. And I mean, I represented and I work with people like Spencer Raskoff, which is the CEO of Zillow, and a lot of people that, you know, he's told me, he's like, hey, dude, you know, at some point, the real estate agents are going to be eliminated. And I'm like, well, we're going to try to do whatever we can to keep it as long as we can, you know. And in these markets that I work with, you know, people do want that one person to take care of their business. So the answer is, like, gratefully, I'm not being affected at all by that.
That's awesome. So Barbara's asking, when you became really busy, obviously as a top producing agent in the country, you are super busy. Your calendar is really full. So what duties were you comfortable with allowing someone else to take on, as far as assistance and that kind of thing?
That's a good question, because I think that's a thing that most of people, when they get to a certain level, struggle with, right? It's like, how many, what I'm, you know, because first is you. And I remember just when it was my case, it was just me. And I had a hard time at first, because you just kind of want to micromanage everything, because you're used to, like, from inputting information to showing to making the calls and to every single thing and the escrows and this and that. And then one day you cannot do that anymore because you're busy. So I hire an assistant, and you just have to take the leap of faith, and you need to jump in the pool, I call it, right? So you need to trust there are certain tasks that someone else can do it for you, right? For me, is if there is something that I don't have to be there, or someone doesn't require me to be there, it can be done by someone else. Escrows can be done by someone else. Paperwork can be done by someone else. Scheduling can be done by someone else. Meeting the clients have to be me. Listing appointments is going to be me. Showings, for most part, in my case, I do 85% of my showings. And for those that I just can, I have someone that helps me with that. But you have to have the ability to delegate, and you have to trust. And yes, sometimes you'll give it to someone and won't do a good job, then you just find someone else. But if you can find someone, if you can find an assistant that can help you in the business, I mean, it's so important. I mean, you will never grow to the next level without having an assistant that you can delegate with tasks that you should not be doing.
Absolutely. And I think that trust is so important. So Dan Prudhomme, the president of our board of trustees, has just asked, he says, thanks for talking with us today. And also, what percentage of your GCI do you invest back into your business?
Oh, that's an amazing question. Hey, Dan, how are you? Thanks for having me first. And that's a very good question from more of the business point of view, right? I talk to my agents, you know, as an owner of a company now, my partner, Mauricio, Billy, and I always talk to the agents. It's like, you can't expect that your business grow by not investing on it, right? like any business. I mean, we actually have it so easy, right? As realtors, we have an office that we don't pay for, we have parking that we don't pay for, we don't pay expense, we don't do this, we don't do that. It's like we want to make, and we don't want to reinvest. It's like you have to have also a system on where you constantly invest. Like for me, is you don't do one ad full page on a newspaper, which I don't even think how powerful those are anymore, but I just use it as an example. You don't want to do one time full page. You want to do maybe quarter of a page for a year, because it's the consistency, it's people seeing more and more and more. It's not like a one-time event. So you need to grab a piece of your profits and reinvest in your business. I don't have an exact number, but I will say that my GCI is gotta be 10 to 15% that I put back in my business.
Awesome. Well, I think our time is coming to a close here. I just want to say thank you again, Santiago, for being here today. You are such an inspiration to so many people, and you have such great wisdom. So if you haven't already, his Instagram and all other links are down below. So make sure you check them out. And Santiago, we'll speak with you again soon. Hopefully you'll be here on the island one day.
I would love to. I always hear beautiful things and I see pictures and want to make a point to visit. And thank you again. Thank you to all of you. I'm sorry that I cannot see you. I love seeing people. I love to feed myself with the energy of people, but I won't. I will imagine it right now. Hope that I brought value to you and honor to be here. And everything is possible. If it is Bolivian guy without speaking the language with $120 came to the United States, not knowing anyone, I was able to do what I did. All of you guys can do it. You are already in an advantageous position compared to where I was. So thanks again. Thank you, Rochelle. You're awesome. I appreciate it. See you soon.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.